We always had a harmonium player, mridanga player. We never had kartal player. So, and the way Raisa was playing, I was thanking Krishna that that one desire got fulfilled now. Now we have complete band. So today we have a lot of new faces, and some have been to India now, so they are not able to come. Maybe we can introduce who are coming for the first time. We have Chikaji. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Hare Krishna and Prachi. I live in San Jose, and yeah, I've been living there for quite a while, but never got a chance to come here. So I'm so glad to be part of this.
She is very dedicated. She used to come for book distribution in San Francisco.
2018.
Yeah, 2017, 2018. And then we have this side. Oh, what's her name?
Hi, I'm Manish. We Santa Clara. I've been living for like 3 years. But yeah, this is the first time that I'm attending.
Yeah. Manish means he will take up Krishna consciousness very quickly. We have one Manish whose name is now Mukharvinder. So, if you tell someone just you come to temple and say my name is Manish, they'll offer you Dandavats. Anyways, thank you Prabhu for coming. Last time we had a lot of questions regarding Karma Yoga and all. So we will discuss a little bit that. And also sometimes we have this, one of the reason we don't take up Krishna consciousness, that also will be discussed in one of the words by Krishna. Why we don't take up Krishna consciousness on spiritual life. So it's a very important subject matter that we are going to discuss today. Okay, we'll start with prayers as we always do. The first verse talks about, it's called verse of gratitude. We offer our gratitude to the teachers, because of whom we are able to read this scripture. So we'll start with that and then we'll start our class. Books are coming, it's getting parcel. So we'll start. You are able to see? Yeah. Okay. Or you can also open on mobile if you want. It's very nicely, front benches, back benches. I just remember my school days. So anyway, on vedabase.com you can just go to library. There you can see BG Bhagavad Gita, and there in that introduction,
Vedabase.io.
Yeah, vedabase.io. There library section will be there. There you can see Bhagavad Gita library book, and in introduction you will see this section. And from the verse point of view, we will be reading third chapter, fifth, sixth, those kind of verses. We will see the timing. It was already yet planned. Okay, so if you want, you don't have to go. Now we'll start. Okay. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Lita Shri Vishakhantamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Anustate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So usually we have class inside because we have around 15-20 devotees. We can fit there. But today we are doing here for a special purpose. In Hindi we call it bakra, and in English we call it scapegoat. So we wanted to, next Friday we have a very special program by Harivamsh Prabhu in Stanford, and we wanted to test this mic and all which has almost this kind of size of room. So we thought maybe we'll try today on me, and there will be audience also, and audience will ask questions also. So even if you don't have any questions, at least share some reflection. We have that mic. We want to do both the testing. So I'm not the only scapegoat. So yeah. First of all, thank you for coming. It's a weekdays. Weekdays are really tough. You can when Prachi and Saili came, they could see we were running here and there, trying to set up things. So, but you still, you took out your time from your busy schedule and came. So I'm very grateful for that. Today we are going to discuss about Karma Yoga. We will be discussing that third chapter, and especially we discussed that how the third chapter, to remember, it is easy. We have to remember the acronym as, what was the acronym of Karma Yoga chapter we discussed? Who said that? Hare Krishna. Bingo. Sometimes we, close our eyes and shoot an arrow. No, not in your case. Good, but it was on target. Yes, karma. And first 3 verses talks about knowledge or action. Arjuna is asking in this chapter, what is more important? At one place you are saying knowledge is more important, and some place you are saying action. You do the action, you fight. So I'm a little confused. You tell me what I should do. Recently, I was in GEV, Govardhan Eco Village. It's a very beautiful, calm place, and there were some cows there. It feels like it will hit me on this place. There were some cows there, and the entire body of the cows were, like firm, not moving. The only part that was moving was the teeth. And 24 hours they do only one thing: keep chewing the grass. And imagine, just by chewing that grass, what comes out of it is milk. But it was not so tough. You thought, some gulab jamun or something special. No, milk. But if you think about it, it is nectarian. Just by chewing on that. But the most important thing is not that grass, but the entire engine and that chewing, that importance of chewing. So important, that entire process, just by chewing of that grass, what comes out is milk. Bhagavad Gita is exactly like that. If we just go through Bhagavad Gita, one after another, like a fast pace, that it won't generate that nectar. What it will generate, if we chew on every word of what Krishna is saying. What Krishna is saying. And that is why Srila Prabhupada has so nicely given the purports on every verse. We might feel that it is repetitive, but actually it is chewing. That's why you have to ingest and you have to digest, and that's where the nectar comes. If you see, if for good digestion, you need to chew nicely, correct? And on an average, it is said that a food has to be chewed at least 35 times, one morsel of food, on an average. Nuts needs more chewing, 45 times. But the more you chew, the more nice is the digestion. And then it creates a nectar and gives strength to our body. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita also, every verse of Bhagavad Gita, every word of Bhagavad Gita, the translation, the commentary, everything, if we chew nicely, if we really contemplate on each and every section of Gita, it actually helps us. We can see that so much nectar coming out of that. But otherwise, if we go through it, then we will feel that it is so tough. I am not able to understand. It is so complicated. It is repetitive. Those kind of things come. So actually, we are fortunate that we have a book which has nicely commentary written, purports. We have translation, word to word meaning, to nicely contemplate on each and everything. If you see our journey of life, if you see the wisdom that we gather in first 25 age, 0 to 25, the age is directly proportional to wisdom. If you see a 10-year-old, generally I'm saying, obviously exceptions are always there. If you see a 10-year-old guy and if you see a 4-year-old guy, you can clearly distinguish based on the wisdom. You can say, okay, this guy is little more elder. Maybe body and all it's different, but just by their wisdom, you can find out. Why? Because age is directly proportional to wisdom. That happens till age 25, 0 to 25. But then from 25 to 75, whatever it is, age is no longer directionally proportional to wisdom. But wisdom then comes from experience. And not just from experience, whether you're able to reflect on that experience, whether you're able to contemplate on that experience, and whether you're able to learn from that experience. But if it is just, you're just experiencing something, but you're not learning anything out of it, not contemplating from it, not reflecting from it, and you're just going through that life, that phase, but not growing from that phase. But if we learn from that experience, so first 25 age, we are learning from education. But after 25, what we are really learning is from the experiences we are having. And that is why you see sometimes 30, 35 age people also, sometimes they speak with so much revelations or with so much wisdom that you might not see a person at age of maybe 75, 80, 85. Because whether they have learned from their experiences, they have reflected, contemplated or not. And that is why this Bhagavad Gita helps us to do that. Really helps us to do that. Reflect, contemplate. What is the goal of life? The difference between Dhritarashtra and Arjuna is very significant. Dhritarashtra is the mindset which we all have right now, which is action, enjoy. This is the life. Zindagi milegi na dobara. This is the life. You want to enjoy. See, his first question, he asked only one verse. Only one verse he spoke in Bhagavad Gita. And then one verse, what he said is, what people are doing in the battlefield. Right? Extreme. What people are doing. And that is what our thing. What do you do? Where do you work? Right? When some grandmothers come home, they will say, what do you do, beta? Right? I remember whenever one granny used to be, now she is no longer, whenever she used to come home, one thing she used to say, ask me during my childhood is, what are your grades? My granddaughter has so and so grades. What are your grades? The focus is on what? What? Right? And Arjun, who is completely confused, but what he's asking is why? Why should I fight? Right? So what is important? It's not like action is not important, but why we are doing what we are doing. And Arjun is actually teaching us that we have to also ask this question, why? How? Next come how? Why we are doing, how we are doing, okay, then what we are doing. But the main thing is why. Dhritarashtra has the mentality of going by the books. Right now, right, action, how much money you are earning, thesis. And Arjuna wants to run away from the battlefield. Right? So it is completely antithesis, going against the book. And that's what the first verse of Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter is saying. He's saying knowledge or action. Either I should work, that is action, that is thesis, or knowledge, give up everything and just go back to jungle or Himalayas, whatever it is. Antithesis. Krishna is saying, nor thesis, nor antithesis, you have to synthesis. What you have to do is, you have to mix the two, action with knowledge. So the second section of Gita, 3rd chapter is action without attachment. That is the entire crux of verse 4 to verse 8. Action without attachment. How we can do our action but without attachment. So the entire, now we are going to see 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, around 4 or 5 verses we will discuss, and this will be the focus. Okay, so we will start 3rd chapter. Actually, let me see this. We have created a document. Okay. Go ahead.
I think we discussed 3rd chapter first.
Yes, we are doing 3rd chapter. So we discussed 4 verses. Today we are doing 5th verse. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. We are all good? This was your question. So you can repeat after me. Okay. Nahi kaschit kshanam api jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate yavasha karma sarva prakriti jay gune. Yeah. Someone wants to read the translation? Who wants to volunteer? Yeah, go ahead.
Everyone is forced to
Ramesh?
act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment.
So here Krishna is saying to Arjuna that you want to run away from the battlefield, but you are a Kshatriya, and a Kshatriya, the dharma is to fight, to protect. So even you go to jungle, no, there also you will think about. See, sometimes it happens, right? Let's say you are like Pakka Marwadi, I mean, Gujarati also is okay, or Sindhi, let's say. Like people basically who thinks a lot about money. So in Indian tradition, these three are like the three pillars who strongly think about. So let's say a person, if he just goes by around also, right? If he goes to any house, something, first thing he will see is this house he would have bought for how many months? Basically the focus will be that only. Why? Because that is his nature. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna that even if you run away from here, right? Let's say you run away, but your dharma is such, is to fight, your Kshatriya. So even you go there, right? There also you will do the same thing. You will try to either protect the animals or you will hunt. But you will not sit because that is not your nature. So action without attachment. What Arjuna is thinking that if I get into action, then I will be attached. But Krishna will explain here that no, that is not necessary.
So dharma is attached or rather associated with karma here. Like if you are born in certain circumstances and if you are.
So there are two kinds of dharma. Thank you. Good question. There are two kinds of dharma: Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma. Swadharma means based on my nature, what kind of occupation I choose. Just based on my nature. That is Swadharma. And that is okay. We have to do that. Like, someone's nature might be a businessman. Like I know one person, he's struggling in terms of monetary. I told him, why don't you work something? He says, no, I mean, I cannot work under anyone. I want to start my business. And he's trying, like 11, 12 business. The point is his nature is like that, right? He feels that he cannot work under anyone. That is his nature. So that is Swadharma. What is your nature? Let's say you have been married. After marriage, now you think that I cannot take care of my family. I want to run away. But now as a married person, that is your dharma. That is your Swadharma. And Sanatan Dharma is what is the highest dharma. That is not connected with this material world. Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavatam, Paro dharmo yato bhakti adhokshaje. Aituki pratyata ayatma. Paro dharmo yato bhakti adhokshaje. I am forgetting the first word, so I am doing such amazing Google search. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yado bhakti radhokshaje ahituki apratyata yayatma suprasidhati. So we spoke about Swadharma, right, which is material dharma. There is another dharma. So dharma has many meanings. Dharma also means religion, right? But here we are talking about duties. Okay. Sanskrit is very powerful. The word in English, love, right? Sanskrit, love can be said in Sanskrit in 96 ways. 96 ways, depending on the context, depending on the kind of love, depending on the target of the love. So Sanskrit is very powerful, and that's why Sanskrit words cannot easily be translated in English language. You will always fall short somehow. Like simple rasa in Sanskrit, rasa. It's a very powerful term. We have not discussed much in detail. We'll discuss more in 7 to 12 chapter. It is very difficult to explain that in plain English words. Very difficult. You might try some things here and there, mellows and all those things, juice, mellows, but it is difficult because rasa in Sanskrit it's very, very deep. So similarly, dharma also, it has many, many meanings in Sanskrit. That's why in English we use it in multiple ways depending on the context. Sometimes we use it as religion, sometimes we use it as duty, but to your context it is more at a level of duty. Here, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadev is talking about Parodharmo, see Parodharmo, which is also known as Sanatan Dharma. Right? So he is saying in translation, someone should read the translation. No, read the translation. Here.
The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self.
Right? Ahituki apratiyata. So what is the highest dharma? Swadharma is, obviously, Sanatana Dharma is to have bhakti yoga, to practice bhakti yoga. But then how can you do Swadharma and Sanatana Dharma both together? And that's why I said synthesis. It's not either way. Going complete, it is synthesizing how we can integrate both the two things in our life, and that is what entire Bhagavad Gita is talking about. And that's what Arjuna is asked. Actually, the question is leading to the purport. Let's read the purport and then I will discuss that. We are going to discuss that Karma Yoga. That will answer your question more in detail. Okay, let's read the purport of this verse. Who wants to read the purport? Go ahead.
It is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move. The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by the spirit soul, which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment. As such, the spirit soul has to be engaged in the good work of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it will be engaged in occupations dictated by the illusory energy. In contact with material energy, the spirit soul acquires material bodies. And to purify the soul from such affinities, it is necessary to engage in the prescribed duties enjoined in the Shastras. But if the soul is engaged in his natural function of Krishna consciousness, whatever he is able to do is good for him. The Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 17 verse, affirms this. Sattva swadharmam charanam bhujam hare bhajam apakvo tha pate tato yadi yatra kwa va bhadram abhut amushya kim ko varta apto abhajatam swadharmataha. If someone takes to Krishna consciousness, even though he may not follow the prescribed duties in the Shastras or execute the devotional service properly, and even though he may fall down from the standard, there is no loss or evil for him. But if he carries out all the injunctions for purification in the Shastras, what does it avail him if he is not Krishna conscious? So the purificatory process is necessary for reaching this point of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, sannyasa or purificatory process is to help reach the ultimate goal of becoming Krishna conscious, without which everything is considered a failure.
So, this is the point that we are going to discuss now. So, there are 4 kinds of karma. Karmi, okay, now remember, okay. Karmi, Sakam Karma Yoga, Sakam Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, and then Shuddha Bhakti.
Karmi is the first.
Karmi, Sakam Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, and Shuddha Bhakti. Okay, this document is going to discuss that, but before that we'll just discuss and then we'll read this document. Okay, Karmi means what? A person who is completely engrossed in eating, mating, sleeping, depending. He just feels that work is worship. Just keep on working, that's it, and become like a donkey. That is the goal of life. That is a Karmi mentality. I remember my sister, when she took up Krishna consciousness, she was trying hard. मेरे भाई को बना के रहूंगी. My brother also should become. And seeing her Krishna conscious, instead of becoming Krishna conscious, I was feeling I should never take this path in my life. I was so scared just seeing her Krishna conscious. Because see, when you see them closely, you will feel that they are of different species only, some aliens, when you see them closely. So I was seeing them closely, and what my observation was that, I don't know whether you saw that one movie, it was pre-2014, so I remember it. It was Amitabh Bachchan. He's an actor, Bollywood actor. So there was a movie where he suddenly comes from village to city, and what he sees is a young man is entering into the lift, and when the lift again opens, so lift closes, the young man enters the lift closes, and when he comes out, he is like an old man. So basically some other man was coming out. Okay. But he's seeing the lift for the first time. He's seeing someone entering for the first time. Someone coming out from the first time. So what he thought is whoever goes into the lift as a young person will come out as an old person. So, so what he did is he was supposed to climb like 10 steps, 10 floor. So he made his and his friend who was from city climb the 10 steps because he was scared. If I go inside, I'll come out as a. So my situation was like that. Whoever is going to Singapore, my sister went to Singapore and she came back. She became like Krishna conscious, Hare Krishnas. You know? Then my mother went. When she came back, she became Hare Krishnas. And then as my father was about to leave, I thought my father is strong, you know. I mean, he will not budge. He went, he came back, like 15, 16 days. He was like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Then my sister said, okay, now my brother should come. I said, I already saw 3 samples. I'm not going to come. And that time, I was just joining JP Morgan, investment bank, right? So you're already in cloud 9. I was like the highest gross I was earning in my college. So I was already like feeling like, you know, almost reaching Ambani stage. so that time I was thinking like money is honey. Karmi. You're discussing about karmi, right? And that time it is very difficult to take Krishna consciousness. Because the mentality is so strong. So my sister was trying hard. She told me, you come to retreat, this, that, Singapore retreat. I said, no, too risky. Too risky. But somehow I went and, you know, then jo dar tha wo. Whatever fear was there, I just started chanting. But I remember it was like a train journey and we were just coming from Vrindavan and she saw one brahmachari named Saffron, ISKCON devotee. So she told her silently that, you know, my brother is here. It was just during, like, you know, just I was about to go to Singapore and before that we were planning to go to Vrindavan. She told that brahmachari, that Saffron monk, tried to tell this person something about Krishna consciousness, and he was saying, and I was not so interested. And then my sister was getting angry because I was not offering that respect to that monk. And then that monk told in Hindi, he said, जब नेचर की जब माया की लात पड़ेगी तब सीधा होएगा ये. Basically he meant, you understood, right? Some of you understood. It basically meant that, you know, when nature will give him a kick, that time he will understand. So, and Krishna says that there are 3 kinds of surrender that person does. 3 kinds of surrender. One is institutional surrender. Institutional surrender means you just surrender because out of culture. Right? We see that, right? When there is some elderly person come, you see him and you surrender. You bow down. Correct? Institutional. Other is impelled. Impelled means you are forced. You are forced to surrender. You don't want to surrender, but you are just forced to surrender. Right? That is because sometimes does the world, you know, something big has happened. Like Sri Prabhupada says that money will be taken anyways. Everything will be taken at the end of the life. Alexander, one thing he told before his death is he kept his hands up, wanted to show that nothing is remaining. Right? So Sri Prabhupada says that everything will be removed. Either you give willingly or Krishna will force to take away. Will take away. So he will be going anyways. So by force you might surrender. Just seeing the situation of the world, just something happened, you just force to surrender. And third is induced surrender. Surrender, just seeing the other personality, which is very Krishna conscious, like a spiritual person, we sort of, out of awe and reverence, we automatically just, there was one person who was coming to Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. He was Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. So he just came, he was just supposed to come and meet him. And the other person told him that as soon as you see him, you bow down. He said, no, I am the king. He was a very rich man. He said, I am also Maharaj. He is also Maharaj. Maharaj are friends. So in that way, you know, I am not supposed to bow down. Why should I bow down to him? And that was his mentality. You know, when I reach there, I meet him. I will not bow down. I will just, you know, just ask this question. And then as soon as he comes in front of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, as soon as he sees him, He didn't even want to do, but he offers his danvats. Why? It was just out of that awe and reverence that spiritual teacher brings with him. Right? So that is induced. Anyways, I got little digressed from this. The topic was so karmi. Karmi is a person who is always, he wants to just earn. That is the aim of life. Nothing else. That is the aim of life. That is a very, you can say, most degraded stage. No idea of spiritual life. Just want to enjoy life. That's it. Just want to enjoy life. That is karmi. Top, little better than that is sakam karma yoga. Or you can say sakam karmi. His mentality is that I will do these things. The first one is he thinks that everything is in his control. I can do everything. But sakam karma yoga, he understands that there is some higher power also. Everything is not in my control. If I want to enjoy nicely, then it is not just what I am doing, it also the overall above nature, demigods, they also have to ordain it. Without them, it is not possible. So what he does is, he uses some part of it to worship. And that's why the demigod worshippers, Indradev is one of, it's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sakam Karma Yoga. Basically, he comes to Krishna whenever he is in distress, trouble. Sakam Karma Yoga. And Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says there are 4 kinds of people who approach me. They don't approach out of pure love, but they approach because they are in distress or they are want of money or they are inquisitive, like this. There are 4 kinds of people. So Sakam Karma Yoga are the people who wants to enjoy. They know that they are not the sole controller. There is something higher. So they are doing like a bargain. I will do this for you, you do this for me. So at the end, the mentality is to enjoy. But I will do little bit. Like you will approach, sometimes it happens, right? We approach once a year. If I don't go to Janmashtami this year, maybe I'll fail in the exam. Or my bonus will be at stake. So maybe once a year I should approach Janmashtami. That kind of mentality. Sakam Karma Yoga. Basically I'm going because I think that I'll get something out of it. The next stage, the third stage is Nishkam Karma Yoga. Nishkam Karma Yoga means I have the attachment for work, but I've developed the consciousness that if I'm attached to the results of the work, then it will lead to degradation. That enjoying mentality will be there, that will lead to degradation. So what I will do is, I'll use the results and I will give it to Krishna. Somehow or the other. I'll use it in Krishna's service. But my attachment to the work is still there. You understood? Attachment to the work is still there. So I'm working, but I know that the attachment to the results of the work is dangerous. I'll give you an example. Like, I'm not attached to the salary, but I'm attached to work, to code. It gives me some adrenaline kick if I code. Sometimes you see people for 2 days, 3 days continuously they are coding only. Hacker, what do you call it? Hackathon. Correct, hackathon. 3 days continuously they are not drinking water, nothing. That natural coding. Nothing. So they attach. Now it's not because they are going to get out of something out of it. There's no money. People, only 1% will get, right? And even if they know that they are going to lose, still they'll be working, coding like anything. Correct? So attachment to the work is there, but not to the results of it.
Like in olden days, like businessmen and all, they were really attached to business, but they used to give a
lot of donation. Correct. Very good example. So that is Nishkam Karma Yoga. And they feel that, okay, if I give everything to Krishna, anyway, some mercy will come. It is Nishkam Karma Yoga. This is good. This is not bad. This is good.
And Sakam is also not
Sakam is also good, but again, it's still a bargain. It's like a business, doing business with Krishna. Right? I mean, Prahlad Maharaj says in Srimad Bhagavatam that when Narsimhadev asked Prahlad Maharaj, ask something. He said, I don't want to be a banik. What is banik means? In Sanskrit, banik means, in English, merchant. So he says, I don't want to have merchant-like mentality. Like, I did devotion, now you give something in return. No, I just want to do service for service. I just want to serve you. Dhruv Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, he really wanted, he was at the stage of Sakam Karma Yoga, that I want a kingdom greater than my great-grandfather. You know who is his great-grandfather? Brahmaji, the first Jiva. How can you have kingdom greater than great grandfather? It is not possible. Theoretically. But in Krishna consciousness it is possible. He got it. Anyways, the point is, he was asking for such a tough thing. And then Narad Muni said, don't worry. Only Krishna can, his mother says, Krishna can fulfill desire, and then Narad Muni helps him. But when he started chanting Krishna's name, and when Krishna actually, Vishnu showed up, he's like corporate thing, but when he gave darshan, that time, Dhruv Maharaj said, Kacham Vichimbam Api Divya Ratnam. That what I was looking for, broken pieces of glass. Kach is glass. Kacham Vichinban Api Divya Ratnam. But what I got is Divya Ratnam. Immortal diamond. A very, very precious diamond. And what was that? Lord Vishnu's darshan. But Lord Vishnu still gave him the Dhruvalok. But the point is, we are not here to serve Krishna because we want something out of it. Then that is more like doing business with Krishna. So that is third stage, Nishkam Karma Yoga. Then what does Shuddha Bhakti means?
Not attached to work and
Not
not attached to
attached to work and not attached to, obviously, the attached to the results of the work.
That is like complete sannyas.
No, exactly. So not attached to work. That doesn't mean you don't have to work. You're not attached to work. But if you're asked to work, then you're doing because you're asked to work. Who all didn't understand what I said? Raise, don't worry. Only you didn't understand. Everybody understood. I myself didn't understand. I just-
you will do business, but you're not attached to this whole, or you will do coding, but you're not attached to the address.
Correct. I'll give you an example. So, who is the devotee who helped in Rath Yatra to Srila Prabhupada? Jayanand Prabhu. So, Jayanand Prabhu, he was a taxi driver. So, Srila Prabhupada, whoever asked Srila Prabhupada at that time, those days, that how should I serve? He said, just serve Krishna completely. So, they used to come in temple, they used to serve 24 hours, whatever they can do. But when Jayanand Prabhu was asked, what should I do? And Jayanand that time was a Uber driver, not Uber driver, cab driver. Uber driver is new one. Anyway, so he was a cab driver. And Srila Prabhupada, when he asked that I'm a cab driver, what should I do? Srila Prabhupada said, keep driving. We need Lakshmi for the temple also. So now Jayanand Prabhu was not attached to driving cab. Some people, like yesterday when Sadhu Sangha was coming, so there was an Uber driver and she just said that, I love driving. So I took this service. Took this occupation. So now she's she's attached to what she's doing. And compared to Jayanand Prabhu, he's not attached to driving, but he's doing because a service to Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada asked him to do the driving of the car, or basically becoming the cab driver, so that the money can come and can be used for Krishna service. You understood the difference? And the other person, let's say Mr. X, he is very attached to driving. He likes driving. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, again, this is a pathetical now, second one, you keep driving, but the money that you get, you use it for Krishna service. So it is Nishkam Karma Yoga. You understood?
The thing is, if you're not attached to something, why will you work?
Why not? That's what now Arjuna is doing, right? Arjuna is not attached now. He doesn't want to work. So you might say he's working but giving the result to Krishna. So is it Nishkam Karma Yoga? No, it's Shuddha Bhakti. Why? He doesn't want to work. But Krishna is saying that your duty is to work, is to fight. For example, married person, right? Now his dharma is also to fight. Sorry, not fight. Thank God she is inside. She will fight now. For a second, my heartbeat increased. No, but there is one story in Singapore. There was one devotee, like a male husband, who was doing a lot of preaching, lot of spreading of Krishna consciousness. I think it was not Singapore; it was something East Asia somewhere, and he was a lawyer, also big lawyer. And somehow he was not able to handle both the things together. But it was needed that the way he was spreading Krishna consciousness, it was really needed that he has to give up his job. And then his spiritual master said that you give up your job, you spread Krishna consciousness. And her wife was also a very good lawyer and asked her wife that you please continue your job. So that, because they have to sustain the family also. Correct? Again, don't try this at home. They are very special cases. What I'm trying to say is that wife now, maybe that time she was not working earlier. Later on she was working. Why? Because as bhakti yoga, not because she liked to work, but she was asked to work. There's a difference between liking to do something and asked to do something. But at an earlier stage, we might have that liking also, or we might be doing because of our force also. We want to maintain a family, or we are scared of. It could be, some retirement we want to keep. Those are different. But Shuddha Bhakti means that we are not attached to. We are just attached to service. Whatever you say, I will do like that.
I think I read about this somewhere. It's like cashier working at a cash counter collecting cash,
Yeah.
but he doesn't really bother how much cash he gets because it goes to the owner.
Yeah.
In this case, it's like Krishna, but then with his work.
Yeah. This is more towards Ishkan Karma. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah.
It's somewhere in the
Yeah. It will come. Initially also you would have said. Anyways, let's read this entire section. We'll read quickly. It's 822 already. Oh my God. But then we'll see again if you. But who all still didn't understand?
So,
apart from
what is the
Vaibhav
difference
Prabhu?
between sannyasa and this Shuddha Bhakti? Like,
Both are same.
both are same, right?
But sannyas, Shuddha Bhakti doesn't mean that you have to give up everything.
Okay.
That is the point. Shuddha Bhakti doesn't mean that. So that is very important to understand. It is more like an internal thing. Go ahead.
Just one question on that. So, because you use the word like to work, does it always mean that not being attached to work? Does it mean that you can't like the work?
No, you can still. There is no like and dislike. You're talking about Shuddha Bhakti, right?
Yes. No. Yeah. So.
No, you're talking about Shuddha Bhakti, or you're talking about.
Shuddha Bhakti only. When you mentioned that you are doing work because it's your dharma, your duty, and when you spoke about Nishkama Karma Yoga, you also mentioned that you are attached to work, right? And so you are doing the work. So the reason you are doing the work differs, but does that change the fact that like in your case when you gave the example of coding, you may still like to code, and you may do it because that's your dharma, your duty, right? That's it. That is still okay, right? Like,
No, I lost you in between. Can you repeat?
so
basically, what I also understood from what I just heard is that in Nishkama, you basically surrender all the results, right? But in Shuddha Bhakti, you mentioned that there is no emotion involved. You do it and you also surrender the results. So does that mean in Nishkama there might still be some emotion? And then the question comes that in Shuddha Bhakti, can you not be engaged with emotion and still surrendering the result?
No, you can be engaged with the emotions, but emotions is somewhere else only. The emotion is not in the service, in that.
Not the outcome. The emotion is more invested in the
No.
actions rather than the outcome.
Not even the action. The emotions are invested in the intention.
Intention. Yes.
Not in the action also, in the intention. And in Nishkam Karma Yoga, the emotions is also a little bit in the action also. Now we are going a little bit more, but it's okay. The point is, even if you not understood, it's okay. At least Nishkam, Sakam, and right. Shuddha Bhakti is anyways beyond our, Premier League. Okay, so beyond our league. But when we read more and more, we'll understand. Okay, Pachi, go ahead.
What's the difference between Karmi and Sakam Karmi? Because in both people are attached to the action and the result.
Yeah, but in Sakam Karma Yoga, little bit understanding of higher truths is there. You can think of Sakam Karma Yoga like a businessman who comes, every day morning he does the puja, and there are like 33 crore devtas sitting. At least one will listen me.
Okay.
That kind of thinking, Sakam Karma Yoga. And if I don't do this today morning, then my business will fail drastically. So I want to do it. And Karmi doesn't even care. There is no worship, there is nothing. Like only live like kings. I just want to enjoy. There's nothing called as spirituality. But did that answer? Should we go ahead? Any questions?
So if you are karma yogi, then
Karma yogi is a very
which one will associate with the karma yogi? Nishkam karma yoga, sakam karma yoga, or the other?
no. Karma yoga means more towards Nishkam karma yoga and Shuddha bhakti.
Okay.
Nishkam karma yoga and Shuddha bhakti. Not Sakama karma yoga is more towards. We have some ulterior motives towards Krishna. That is also okay. Krishna says that will also purify over a period of time. Like for example, many people come to temple. Like recently only there was one person who came to temple. He came to temple because he broke up with his girlfriend. So he felt, what is the point of this life? See, if you see most of the Bollywood songs, Hollywood songs, is of love, but that love is of frustrated love. She left me, something like that, But sometimes that also triggers us to take up Krishna consciousness. That now that person, like it was around 5-6 months back, now he's chanting Hare Krishna very nicely. So that can be a trigger. Which is okay. And Krishna also says it is okay. But we have to gradually, at least through our actions, at least we should try to elevate ourselves towards chanting of the Hare Krishna mantras to spirituality. Should we go ahead? Okay, we'll skip that entire purport, that doctrine that I had created. Anyways, it got good understanding, right?
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead now. Okay, it's 8 to 8 already. Okay. So we'll do. Now this is the very important verse. This verse basically, sometimes people say, right? Oh, these sadhus, that Hongi sadhus, how can I trust them? Right? Now Krishna is talking about that. 3.6. This is a very important verse. Okay, 7th and 8th we will rush like fast Rajdhani Express. This one will take some time. Okay, you can repeat after me. It's a very good important verse. Karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mityachara sauchyate. So mithyachari, right? The word mithyachari is there. Mithyachari means mithya means false. Right? Okay. Who wants to read the translation? They can read the purport as well, both together. Who wants to read?
I will read.
Go ahead.
One who restrains the senses of action but whose mind dwells on sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Purport. There are many pretenders who refuse to work in Krishna consciousness but make a show of meditation while actually dwelling within the mind upon sense enjoyment. Such pretenders may also speak on dry philosophy in order to bluff sophisticated followers, but according to this verse, these are the greatest cheaters. For sense enjoyment, one can act in any capacity of the social order, but if one follows the rules and regulations of his particular status, he can make gradual progress in purifying his existence. But he who makes a show of being a yogi while actually searching for the objects of sense gratification must be called the greatest cheater, even though he sometimes speaks of philosophy. His knowledge has no value because the effects of such sinful man's knowledge are taken away by the illusory energy of the Lord. Such a pretender's mind is always impure, and therefore his show of yogic meditation has no value whatsoever.
Right? So this is important. See what the translation is saying. One who restrains the senses of action. Right? So it's like 2 days back, it was Nirjala Ekadashi. Right? Srila Prabhupada gives this example. You are fasting nicely, not drinking water, then you think, okay, let's take some bath. You go to the shower and drink water, right? So that's what he's saying. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose minds dwell. Somehow I should get water, somehow I should get water, somehow I should get water, right? But mind dwells on the sense objects. Certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. But if you read this, it can be very discouraging. Why? Because at our level, we're also trying to restrain from the sense of objects. But sometimes the mind still dwells on the sense object. So are we mithyachari? Mithyachari is a very, very strong word. Right? Mithyachari is a very strong, false pretender, right? But Srila Prabhupada actually explains, and Acharya explained, what it really means is, it is okay to contemplate on sense objects because we are at initial stage of our Krishna consciousness. But what is wrong is doing that thing and then justifying that thing. Doing that thing and then justifying. Like for example, let's say intoxication, right? At this early stage, a person who has just left beer or whatever it is, initially he might still dwell, although he is trying to control himself, but he will still dwell, right? On the sense object, let's say, on that. So is he mithyachari? Not really. But let's say phisal gaya, slept, and then he drank. And then when someone questions him, then he says, so what? Then if he is able to justify also, then there is definitely a possibility. But the initial stage, we might have that issue of, like there was one monk who was, who used to love cricket a lot. So he just joined the Brahmachari ashram. This is in Chowpatty. I will not tell the name. He just joined the temple. And he came to know that day, once after almost a year. And by the time he had left cricket and all, he was, very amazing devotee. So he came to know that at Brabant Stadium, India versus Australia match is going to happen. So he thought to himself, and who was coming, someone was saying, hey, you love cricket, I know. Are you going to go see the match? And this guy was thinking more. Whether should I see the match or not see the match? And then somehow he got the tickets also because his father was at a very high level. So he got all the tickets and all. He was thinking, what should I do? Then he contemplated all out. He said, okay, this is happening too much. Okay, I'll go for the match. This last match, I will just see this match. One last match of my life. So he tells himself this story, right? So he goes and he sees the match, and what he does is, because he was having that guilt also, I'm going, I'm watching the match. So he took along with him Bhagavad Gita. And what he did is, whenever there used to be breaks or something, he was reading that Bhagavad Gita also. And then he said, one of the class he was saying that also he was revealing, because they were supposed to say some regrets they had. So he said, I had this regret. He just shared his regret, right? But the point is, he had that regret, right? He had that regret that, I should not have done it because it was not needed. I had already overcome that, but somehow that tendency was there. After that, obviously, he said that I never watched it again. Again, I'm not saying that cricket is something harsh and you should not watch. But again, you elevate yourself, right? You elevate yourself after some time. And then these things becomes very small things, right? Like for example, for some people, movies can be really, can't stop movies. Very, very difficult for some people. Like I remember when I completed my masters, how many of you have seen this? Hope you have not seen. 24 series. 24 series you have watched? You have watched? Manish, see, I can remember your name after one only. 24. Only Jack bowed. See, imagine the samskaras can be so strong. But anyways, so in that entire series, one season is almost of 20-21 hours. Correct? I used to watch that entire series, one season in one day.
In one day?
Imagine, in one day. That was the strong attachment to movies and TV series and all that. But slowly you read Gita and then you try to understand that okay, these are lower modes of nature. But if we are still getting into it and we are able to justify that it is right, then Krishna is saying it's a false pretender. He's a mithyachari. The point is, one has to be honest. One has to be honest. And it is okay. At the initial stage, it is okay. We might have that tendency. We have to see various ways how to overcome those lower modes. But we need to be honest. There is one very sweet story about a Srila Prabhupada disciple. Her name was Gauri Mataji, Prabhupada disciple. She was just about to leave the world. She was amazing book distributor in Los Angeles temple. So she was about to leave the world, and this other devotee was sharing this pastime who was with her. So just 3-4 days before she was passing away, this other devotee who was with her was again and again telling her, please don't have any material desires, just think of Krishna. Don't have material desires, just think of Krishna. You want to go back to Krishna. And then just 2 days before, this lady, this Mataji, asked Gauri Mataji, do you have any material desires? Still there, do you have anything? Please, if you have, please tell. And now she could have easily said, about to leave, she could have said, no, nothing, I'm all good, just about to reach Krishna. She said, actually, near that LA temple, near that there is a Govinda's restaurant. In that Govinda's restaurant, the cook, he makes very nice pizza. And I love that pizza. Somehow I'm getting that inclination to eat that pizza now. But I'm praying to Krishna that I'm about to leave. Please don't have this. I don't want to have this, create this attachment in me for this pizza. Otherwise, I have to take this birth again just to eat that pizza. Krishna says in Bhagavad, whatever desires you have, somehow that will get fulfilled. Anyway, somehow or the other it will get fulfilled. So you have to take the birth again. But that lady, this devotee was Sri Prabhupada, God sister. She was saying that how Gauri Mataji was so honest to herself. Right? So honest. She said that this is my desire, but she was at the same time she was praying to Krishna that, please Krishna, I'm about to leave this world. Obviously, she is very. Imagine at that stage also saying that kind of statement speaks a lot about her. And then she was just praying to Krishna that somehow I can remain Krishna conscious in the last stages. So we have to be honest. That's the entire theme about this. Entire theme. And that's why sometimes nowadays people feel cheated, right? When they see people speaking something but not able to practice it, right? Not able to practice it is also okay, but one should not try to justify it. So what? Right? So not able to practice it means, I'm not talking about intoxication, all those things. We're talking about some subtle things that we might still have. We have to try and pray to Krishna. That is what it is talking about. We should try and. Dhritarashtra was one such person, right? And that's why whatever we are taking in our life, when tough things come, that is what we will show. Now, in this case, when she was about to die, she was in pain, was about to die. She told the truth. Right? She told the truth, whatever was in her heart. At Dhritarashtra, an entire life, he was trying to show to entire kingdom that there's no difference between me and my kids and my sons and Pandavas. Right? There's no difference. We are all they are all my children only. But when the last that Kurukshetra war happened, that time Dhritarashtra, because it was so intense, he just said, Mamaka Pandavaschaya. What is happening between my sons and Pandavas? Because that was very intense. And when that intense moment comes, then what happens?
True nature comes
out. And that is why it is important. What are we feeding? Garbage in, garbage out. Good in, good out. What are we feeding? That is where our true nature will come out. This one, Sri Prabhupada was, I think he was in Mauritius, and he was in a car, and suddenly a very bad accident happened. And Brahmananda Prabhu, who was with him, many of them got hurt, and they were a little scared also of the entire situation. And Brahmananda Prabhu was telling this pastime. When he saw Sri Prabhupada with no disturbance, he was just chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Imagine the level of consciousness. Right? For us, we might just. I remember I was driving once. Very great Vaishnava. I don't want to tell the name. And somehow the other car, they didn't see this car, and they just came into this lane. And I just got scared, and I just took the other lane just to avoid the danger. And when I saw, because he was so senior and I am doing this kind of thing, when I saw at him, he just closed his eyes and he was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram. And I was thinking, when I saw the danger, I immediately Obviously, what I did, what was needed, but at the same time, what was my consciousness? I was trying to understand what was my consciousness at time. And when I compared to him, he was equipoised and just chanting the holy names of the Lord. Right? So this verse is very important. Go ahead. After that, we'll go to the next verse.
I know some people that go to temple or people who are like chanting slowly, they will try to stop eating non-veg or alcohol. Like slowly they will get all these changes. So if a cheater is doing this, like at certain point, doesn't he change? I mean, I feel like there is some power.
Yeah, there is a power, no? So slowly it will change.
So the
And I said,
cheater-
no, initial stage it is okay. It will happen. Sakam Karma Yoga, I mean, that stage will be there. So we will try to restrain. Let's say 1 week, every day that guy is calling, today come for movie, come for out of 7 days, we start going 3 days, 3 days and 2 days, 2 days and 1 day. And slowly we lose the taste. And that is okay. I mean, that we are all going through that, that journey. We are all going through that journey. And it is okay. It is okay. But doing that for a prolonged period, then there is something wrong. There is something wrong. And showing that there is no problem. I mean, I have controlled myself. Point is, a person trying to, where are we? I went ahead, no? Yeah, restraining the senses of action from outside, senses of action, but contemplating it continuously and also practicing it. That is where the problem is there. And contemplating, again, at the initial stage is okay. Initial stage is okay because we are all sadhakas. All sadhakas, we have their own.
Until unless you take action, there is no bad karma attached, right? So, I mean, if you are trying to, let's say, restrain yourself.
So, what Acharyas explain in Kali Yuga, there is no. On the thoughts, there is no karma in Kali Yuga, but that is not the case with previous yugas. Okay, because Kali Yuga is already so degraded. But continuous contemplation will lead to action, and that action will lead to character. Then character will become habit. That habit will lead to destiny. So that initial contemplation is scary. So we need to try to, and that's why it is said, right? You cannot stop your senses but you have to engage them in something higher. You have to engage them in something higher. If I say don't think of red apple, you'll think of red apple. But if I say then we have to engage ourselves in something higher, then we'll not think of red apple. I mean, you can think also red apple is good. But anyways, I'll go ahead. Thank you. So 7th, 8th we'll quickly do. So what was the theme of this section?
Karma.
Yes. But what is the acronym? What was the acronym for this, for 4 to 8? Okay, let's start again. What was the total acronym of this chapter?
Karma.
Okay. First section was chapter 1, verse 1 to 1-3.
Knowledge and action.
Knowledge or action. Arjuna asked that question. Perfect. 4 to 8. What was the theme? Correct.
Action
Bingo.
without attachment.
You get extra try. Thank you, Priyanka. Action without attachment. That is the theme. Okay. We'll start. We'll skip the verse. We'll directly. Someone can read the translation. Who wants to read the translation? Go ahead. Priyanka.
On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses of the mind and begins karma yoga without attachment, he is by far.
Right. So control the active senses of the mind, but begins karma yoga. Right. He's starting the karma yoga. Whatever he's able to do, giving the results back to Krishna, using it for Krishna consciousness. Slowly, he's by far, and he's being honest. I'm thinking this is a good purport. Okay, let's read from a householder. Anyone can see a householder.
A householder can also reach this destination by regulated service in Krishna consciousness.
To your question, right? A householder can also reach. It is not like sannyasi means. Sannyasi doesn't mean one who has given up everything. But sannyasi really means nothing owes him. Nothing owns him. What does it mean is, I'm thinking, like for example, you don't have a car, but continuously you're thinking about the car. So what it means is, car is actually owning you, sort of, right? So it doesn't mean that you don't have anything. It means that nothing can affect your consciousness. That is actually a sannyasi. So doesn't matter whether you are an householder, whether you are a brahmachari, vanaprastha. The point is consciousness. Go ahead.
For self-realization, one can live a controlled life as prescribed in the Shastras and continue carrying out his business without attachment and in that way make progress. A sincere person who follows this method is far better situated than a false pretender who adopts show-bottle spiritualism to cheat the innocent public. A sincere sweeper in the street is far better than the charlatan meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living.
Jayanand Prabhu, actually he was working in the temple, driving the car, everything for Srila Prabhupada. Rather than a person who is just meditating, but then continuously thinking that nobody should take my kamandalu, otherwise how will I drink water? And charlatan meditator. We'll read the 8th also and we'll stop there. Who wants to read? We'll read the translation.
Perform your prescribed duty for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without it.
Right? One cannot maintain. That is what Arjuna's situation was. Because Arjuna is a Kshatriya, he is used to protect, maintain. Right? Kshatriya means one who protects. So Krishna is saying that you will do there also same thing. Better do here, because that is your dharma. Right? So, but sometimes I'll just end with this one story. Suddenly it came into my mind. I think I spoke about this before also. How many of you remember the story of Ratnavali? Or whether you were there? You were there. Who else were there? Only Shankar was there, so it is good. Okay, I think more were there. But anyways, I'll tell the story. So there was this devotee. My God. Now you remember?
No,
Raghav Das Brahmachari. Something is, yeah, okay, he is able to remember. So, this story basically I'm trying to say is because there might be situations you might slip from your position, but Krishna still protects you. That is the point. But because one is sincere. So, this was this lady, her name is Ratnavali. She was born in 1975, and what happened was one devotee from Chopati, he just came and he saw that among all the brahmacharis doing Harina, she was the only lady who was doing Harina, with bongo and all. And it's a little awkward. Lady is doing bongo, usually you don't see that, and in the middle of it's loudly shouting Harinam. You don't see that in India so much. Here, it's all good. So, for him, it was a culture shock. So, he was trying to understand who is she. So then one person said, you don't know, in her previous life, she was a brahmachari. And in this life, she took a body of a female. So then this person got really excited. Imagine someone is able to understand his previous life. Then he approached her spiritual master, and then the entire story was sort of revealed. And then there's an article also. So the story like this basically. Ratnavali, this lady, when she was young, she was born in a Hindu family, and as all Hindus, she was praying to many demigods and everything. Whatever devta you can know of was on the altar. So, but she was very sort of attracted to a person, sort of an old person in that altar, in that photo. He was actually Srila Prabhupada, but she never knew who he was because only the photo was there. Somehow someone had kept the photo, and somehow she was always that attracted. She never knew why. When she grew up, suddenly she was in college and someone was trying to bully her and try to hit her with a big rod or something. And she tried to run, And while running, she was just shouting Krishna, Krishna. And when the entire incident was over, she was thinking, why did I call out Krishna? I mean, I never got so attached to Krishna. Why am I, of all the demigods, why I said only Krishna? She was just thinking like that. And then later on, she felt that she wants to know more about Krishna. So she was trying to look for a temple where Krishna is there. So she came to a temple called Soho Temple. It's called Radha Landineshwar. It's in London. She was born in London. So she reached there. And as soon as she saw Radha Krishna, she had tears in her eyes. And she somehow felt that attraction towards Radha Krishna. And she was trying to understand what is the process. And within 2 years, I mean, immediately she started. That day only she understood. She was trying to understand what is the process. Immediately she took bead bag. She started chanting 16 rounds. Day one. Right? Sometimes you see such kind of devotees. Day one, you know. And within 2 years, she got initiated also. But then what happened is she got married. But what happened was continuously she was getting some weird dreams. Dreams of big mountains and very big house, like very scenic place. Then suddenly she was getting dreams of a bar getting replaced to a temple, then temple again replaced to a bar, bar getting replaced to a temple. She was seeing that. Then she was also seeing a car driving at a very fast pace and suddenly hitting an accident. All these kind of things she was continuously seeing. And she was not able to understand what is happening. See, when you see some dreams, 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, it is okay. But if you're continuously seeing, then there's some problem. So she approached her spiritual master and asked. She said about these things. Spiritual master said that maybe something related to previous life. That's it. But how will you find out, right? No way. And then she suddenly saw one devotee. Her name was Tribhuvana. 33. Time is ticking. I have to go a little far. She saw a devotee, Prabhupada disciple, Tribhuvana Prabhu, and she felt that I know this person. I know this person somehow. And then she saw Tribhuvana Prabhu doing Harinam every day in the streets. That's how she started chanting. She also started going to Harinam and playing that bongo. And Tribhuvana Prabhu also was very shocked to see so much inclination towards Harinam. It was all coming from previous life. And then, but the dreams were continuously coming and she was confused, what is the dream about? And then finally, she and her husband decided that we have to find out. So then she started asking various people in Soho temple and nearby temple, was there any brahmachari, was there any devotee who was staying here but died early stage? And then they said there was a devotee here whose name was Raghav Das Brahmachari. And he died out of car accident. And then suddenly it clicked her that she was again seeing the car accident. I forgot, she was also seeing one lady also in the dream. So then she started understanding maybe this, and that's how, and Raghav Das Brahmachari used to have a lot of inclination towards Harinam. He used to go with Tribhuvana Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple, and he used to do that Harinam with him, and he used to play that same bongo. So she felt that connection. And then later on, she also found out the person who was driving that Raghav Das Brahmachari where the accident happened. All those things. Then she was able to connect with this person. I felt that I know him. And then she came to know where he exactly stayed. She went there to that place. And it was the same place, that mountains and the greenery and all that, what she was seeing in the dream. Now she was thinking, what was that bar and that. So she was just going to Scotland, and that devotee, Raghav Das Brahmachari, actually was from Scotland. So once she was just decided that she wants to go to Scotland and visit. So she was trying to find out that place where that former ISKCON temple, earlier ISKCON temple was there. And when she reached that old ISKCON temple, she realized that ISKCON temple is no longer there, but now that has become a bar. So she understood that, and when she entered, she could visualize how the temple was looking. So that's what she was seeing in the dream. Final thing was the lady. So once she was just sitting around with other devotees, and suddenly his spiritual master told that, because she said everything to her spiritual master, that I was looks like I was so and so, I was a brahmachari, and then I took this birth. I was able to connect now what all things was happening in my previous life. And then his spiritual master said, you were very nicely doing your service and everything. Then you took a female. That means that you had some attraction to female. And he just laughed. And that time she didn't say about what she was seeing in the dream. She was also seeing one lady in the dream. Although Bhakti Chalsa Swami Maharaj, his spiritual master, just said like that only, but she took it very seriously. And then she was trying to find out who all his close friends were. And she was trying to, then she asked her cool friend, was he attached to some lady or something? Because Krishna says, Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavan Tejatante Kalevan. At the end of the life, whatever you remember, you will attain that body. So somehow she found out that, he wanted to actually get married. From Brahmachari ashram, he wanted to get into. And some of the close devotees were saying that Brahmachari ashram is very great ashram, try to be here, whatever. And then then one of the, his friend's wife, he knew that Radha Brahmachari was attracted to one lady. Then she reached that place where that lady was staying. And when she met her, obviously she didn't come to know, but her husband, Ratnavali's husband, said that you and that lady are looking almost like twins. Obviously she had become very old, because they're talking about 73, and she was she was born in 75. That other lady had become very old, but it was looking like the features are matching. The point is, and then her spiritual master said that Krishna actually revealed to you that what you practice Krishna consciousness, but you screwed up somewhere. This life, you have the chance, take it very seriously. And then she's just, every day she just goes to Harinam, and she does just Harinam. So the point is, sometimes we might practice Krishna consciousness, and there might be a situation where we might slip. But because the holy names will always protect us. Krishna says in Bhagavad, Satatam Kirtayanto Ma. Holy name will protect us. Harinam. Radha Brahmachari was attached to Harinam. Then you see Ratnavali being attached to Harinam. And then spiritual master said, just perfect your life. Please. Make this life your last life. And go back to Godhead. Because nothing is remaining in this life. We try hard, whatever we might try, but at the end of the day, we know that money is such a thing. Before earning, there is anxiety. When we have, there is anxiety. When we lose, there is anxiety. But the irony is that we still need it. Right? We still need it. When we don't have, we are trying hard how to get it. When we have, we are trying hard how to not lose it. And we lost it, we are trying hard how to become sober. Right? Contains there is anxiety. But that's why this section is there, Karma Yoga. How we can use it for Krishna service. But at the initial stage, we can just try whatever. I have my own struggles. But whatever, we can be honest to ourselves, and we can at least start with chanting the holy names of the Lord. Many of you have the beads. Try to do every day some rounds, 1 round, 2 rounds, 16 rounds. If you're really serious, try to take association of devotees and try to perfect your life. Because Srila Prabhupada, that is the whole reason why he wrote Bhagavad Gita, not to make people succumb to Karma Yoga, Shuddha Bhakti. I'll stop here at 8:40.